Hey Vision Chasers, it's Dr. Byrd here. Today I want to tell you a story I should have told you a long time ago, and this is the origin of Vision Chasers, and it's actually my story, and I like I said, I should have told you this a long time ago. So a lot of my teachers from elementary school up into 8th grade, they would be surprised to know that I became a teacher and eventually a principal. They would really be shocked to know that, because yes, during those years, those are my rebellious years. I really didn't like to work. I definitely wasn't going to do my homework, and I didn't do my homework. And in class, I guess I had good comedic timing, and so I was the class clown. I was the student that the teachers would send out of the room or send to the back of the room to kind of isolate, because I was a distraction in the class. And there came a moment in middle school, around 7th grade, that I didn't, because I had developed a reputation, and I no longer wanted to be that bad kid, because that's all they expected me to do was just bad stuff. And one of the things that I was really into at the time was stealing. Once 6th or 7th grade, I was really big into that, just going into stores, just swiping stuff and walking out with it. And yes, that was me. This is my story. That's who I was. Don't judge me. I know what you're thinking. So eventually it came to a point where I didn't want that label anymore. I got tired of that. And it was hard for me to shake that. So thankfully, we ended up moving at the beginning of my 8th grade year to an entirely different community. So no one knew anything about the old me, where I came from. They didn't know any of those stories. And so that was an opportunity for me to start 100% brand new. And I took advantage of that opportunity. And at the time, I decided that I wanted to go to the University of Missouri. I wanted to be a Mizzou Tiger. And at the time, the basketball team was playing pretty well, and so that's what it really attracted me and made me want to go to that particular school. So I held on to that goal throughout 8th grade year, throughout high school. I did what I needed to do. I graduated from high school with, I believe it was a 3.6 GPA. 3.6 GPA, graduated from high school. I was really focused, and you know what? My senior year, I got that acceptance letter from Mizzou. So things were going well. They're going very well. And so I get to Mizzou, and can you guess what my first semester GPA was? My first semester GPA in college at Mizzou was a 1.7. So 1.7, very disappointing. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that, Dr. Byrd, you must have gone to a lot of parties and there's drinking involved. Yes, that is true. There was some partying. There were unfortunately there were some other poor decisions. But here's what I want you to know. What I want you to know is this: the primary reason for my poor beginning at Mizzou was that when I was in high school, I wasn't really pushed past the limits that I had set for myself. You see, a lot of people around me made it difficult for the teacher to teach. And we're talking mostly high school. Yeah, high school and 8th grade. So in that community, in that school district, it was difficult for the teachers to do what they needed to do. And so with me, I was compliant. I did what they asked me to do. So I didn't get more attention past, when I turned in the work, when I did what they asked me to do. I didn't get extra attention. I didn't get the benefit of teachers pulling me to the side and say, hey, Marvin, I think you could do a little bit more. Why don't you try this assignment to just kind of push yourself? I see this is kind of coming easy to you. Why don't you challenge yourself? Why don't you take this AP class? Why don't you go to the next level with it? So I didn't get that extra push. And I had this new label, which I enjoyed. It was a lot better than my old label. I was considered smart. And I was considered smart simply because I did what the teachers were asking me to do, and I didn't cause a problem. I wasn't a behavior problem in the classroom. I didn't add any extra stress to the environment by making poor decisions. But because I wasn't pushed in high school, I wasn't fully prepared for the next level. I wasn't fully prepared for college. In my mind, what I wanted to do, I'm a gamer, right? I was a gamer, and I still am a gamer. So back then, I decided when I went to college that, hey, I wanna make video games, and I want to play video games. I want to make money making and playing video games. That would be awesome. And so I chose to major in computer science. Now, silly me not going to talk to people to try to figure some things out before I made this decision. This is why I constantly talk about you finding a mentor, finding someone to talk to, bounce these ideas off of, and so they can help you kind of navigate your way through life and help you avoid bad decisions. So I talked to no one about this major. I had no idea. I just knew that I wanted to make and play video games for a living. That's all I wanted to do. Talk to no one. That's my major. Well, if you want to major in computer science, you're going to have to be very proficient in math. And so I made things worse by not seeking help, not seeking advice, not talking to someone. I thought I could handle it on my own. And in my mind, I was just saying myself, making and playing video games for a living. That's what I wanted to do. So I had to take the next semester, I had to take this calculus class. Now, going back to the first semester, the math class that I had to take my first semester, I barely passed that class. And I had to cheat in order to pass that class. Don't do that, by the way. Cheating is wrong. So I take this class the next semester, and it's this calculus class. It's calculus, and I swear with calculus, there are more symbols and letters than there are numbers. And this calculus class killed my GPA. And, I keep going down that path to the point where my sophomore year, when I come back now, I'm on academic probation at this point. And again, I'm making the bad decision of not going to seek some advice, ask questions. So it's sophomore year at Mizzou, the day before Christmas. I get a letter in the mail from Mizzou. And basically the letter says, you have been dismissed from the University of Missouri. Now, I didn't know that they could do that because I was paying them money to be there, but they can do that. They can say, we no longer want to take your money because your grades are so bad, you're doing so terribly, this is not good. This is not good. You're doing so bad here. We don't want to take your money anymore. So that's what happened to me. And, I can remember getting that letter, and, I didn't tell my parents because it was embarrassing. And, at the time I was really scared too, because I knew that I wasn't ready for the world. I knew I needed some, I wasn't, if I were a cake, I wasn't ready. I wasn't fully baked yet. I wasn't fully cooked yet. I was not ready for the world. The world was going to destroy me. So I knew I needed to do something. And thankfully, I remember this is me holding this all in. I was able to, I had a few meetings with the dean of the school. It's like the principal or whatever. So I had a couple meetings with the dean, told them I've got a plan, trust me, I'm gonna turn this thing around. I'll change my major. I'll do something different. My goal here is to graduate from Mizzou with a degree. And so they they trusted me. They gave me another opportunity, and I'm so thankful that they did. So I was trying to figure out what my major is going to be at that point. And I had the opportunity to take, I think it was a social work or sociology class. Can't remember what it was. And that class gave me the opportunity to do some community service at a local middle school. And that's when it really clicked for me. You know, just me being able to interact with those kids. And I was learning some things about the cycle of poverty and inequality that exists in our country. And, you know, I felt something when I learned about that. And then with me getting a chance to interact with those kids, that's when it really clicked for me that my purpose in life is to put a dent or do my best to break the cycle of inequality and poverty by educating young minds. That's what I was supposed to do. That was, and I'm, you know, to this day, I'm still passionate about that. So I found my purpose. And, you know, what's really crazy is that because I've made so many bad decisions, and I told Mizzou, I said, hey, I want to be a teacher in the School of Education. I still have the email that they sent to me and told me, hey, your GPA is just so low, we can't accept you. And so I had to take a kind of a back path in order to become a teacher. And it took me a longer time in order to become a teacher because of the mistakes that I made. But thankfully, you know, it happened. I had to go to school at nights while I was working a full-time job after I graduated from Mizzou with a bachelor's in sociology. And so 2006, that's when I got my first teaching contract in Joplin, Missouri. Was so happy. And I can remember, you know, learning very quickly that one of the biggest challenges for a teacher is just that motivation, like just getting students to really engage and care. You know, sure, they wanted an education, but, you know, there's those, you know how it is, there's those highs, there's those lows, and you just really don't feel like putting in the effort. And, you know, I would tell students things to motivate them, to get them going, and, you know, always stay upbeat. You know me, if you subscribe and you watch these videos, you know I'm a very positive person, and the students would tell me, it said, Dr. Byrd, that sounds good. You should write a book. And of course that made me feel good. It made me feel good to know that it was impactful. It helped them to put forth the effort, and it just feels good when you are helpful to someone. And so out of the things that my students told me came this book that I published, I believe it was 2012. Make It Plain, Keys of Being a Successful High School Student. So I'm very, very proud of this. And then, you know, as I kept going, I started this YouTube channel, and then that's how Vision Chasers came about. And I don't quite remember. I don't remember where the title came from, but overall, Vision Chasers, you know, what you're watching now, and the book and my writings and all that came from, you know, my story. And I believe that if you are focused on what you want out of life, and you really put your energy towards going after it, chasing it, if you will. And by it, we're talking about something that is, you know, it's not necessarily here, but in your mind, you can see it. We're talking about a vision. So Vision Chasers, I believe that if you do that, if you're intentional about the steps that you're taking, you're going towards that vision, then you're going to find success. And so that's where all of this came from. That's the origin of Vision Chasers, and with this channel, you're going to see, you know, it's interesting because when I actually started the channel, my goal was to have a number of just motivational videos, the things that I would say to my students on a consistent basis to get them going. And then at the time too, I had the idea of flipping my classroom. And so you'll notice there's some history on here as well. And so the history videos, those are actually part of my classroom. when I taught. And, you know, I'm not in the classroom anymore, but I still add history on there because, you know, I'm a teacher. That's what I am. That's what I do. And I have a passion for history. And because history it's telling stories. It's telling stories of the past. And I think I have a gift of doing it in a compelling way. So there'll always be history videos on here in addition to the motivation, the tips for success for students and people in college as well. So that's the origin of Vision Chasers. That's how all of this got started, through my story of pain, poor decisions. I want my students, I want young people, I want you, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in life, I want you to learn from my pain so that it's not your experience, to help you to avoid the poor decisions that I made. And so, yeah, that's where Vision Chasers comes from. So if you have any questions or comments, please go right ahead, and I'll do my very best to get to those. So I thank you so much for watching, learning about Vision Chasers, the backstory, and I appreciate you, especially, you know, to my subscribers. I appreciate your support in this channel, this labor of love, and I thank you so much. And until we meet again, please keep chasing the vision. Bye.